why is there all this stuff here? So the question of abiogenesis, how do we get from non-life to life? Well, first of all, does that distinction really hold? When you look closer and closer and closer at things, you see sort of microverses within them and within them and so on and so forth, right? So why do we sort of draw the line? Well, I suppose you could say there are things that crawl around and grow and root and you develop flowers and so on. There are things that don't. Right, so there's two things to say there. First of all, epistemic humility. We don't know what's actually going on out there because our senses are only honed to deliver information that's relevant to us, right? So we don't know that stones, for example, don't have more shit going on. It's just irrelevant to us. And we don't know that there aren't things floating around that are just irrelevant to us, right? And that might explain some of these sort of, transcendent experience, UFOs, UAPs, whatever they're called these days, people seeing weird shit. It could just be these other entities that, and we don't know how to manifest them other than sort of Auntie Mabel on the staircase, or some UFO or something we've seen on science fiction. So we kind of do a wraparound, a sort of contextual wraparound to these phenomena. Perhaps this is all just complete speculation, but my point is, back to the abiogenesis thing. I don't think there is any distinction. I think there's a very smooth curve that just tends towards, zero cognition, but it never gets there. Which of course smacks of some kind of panpsychist interpretation or metaphysic, right? But I'm still an idealist. Still believe that everything that we experience is a representation of some other agents, right? Agency. Right, so I mean, these trees and bushes, they're obvious. They're obviously another agent because they're doing something obviously intelligent, right? You look at the grass and say, well, yes, so is that. It grows itself, it assembles itself, it responds to, nitrogen, oxygen, temperature, pressure, and so on and so forth. It has a role in this world, right? It interacts with the world, whatever that thing is. And so even if you come to a kind of completely lifeless, in inverted commas, planet and just find rock, right, just granite and limestone, maybe some marble or something, you'd be tempted to say there's no life there. Well, I would say that whatever is there is milling about with a propensity towards producing complexity and novelty, right? And whether that manifests as life has on this planet, or just stays as a bunch of volcanic reactions, molten lava moving around and stuff, I'd say there's still ideas. There's still minds there, right? That's where it starts sounding a little bit fringy, but I think there's actually quite a lot of evidence to suggest that there's at least something in this. So there is no problem of abiogenesis, because there is nothing that's not alive. Everything is dancing around according to some intrinsic propensity towards creation and novelty, right? It's like Bill Mensch, good to mention him again. That joke's getting old, isn't it? But he says that there's this little wiggle, so even the most basic sort of entities you can imagine sitting around doing nothing for ages, they'll get bored. Right? And they'll eventually they'll say, well, let's change things, let's mix things up a bit, and that seems to be what produces all of this wondrous complexity and stuff that we can't even see as well. But maybe science, AI, philosophy working together, mysticism, men in lab coats with people meditating, right? If we could all start working together and realising that we are actually singing from the same goddamn hymn sheet anyway, right? And focus on the commonalities instead of the microscopic differences, which certainly, I can't remember that thing that Inez mentioned. There's this new syndrome to do with people that have travelled off planet Earth. So Captain Kirk off Star Trek did it. He was also T.J. Hooker. I can't remember his real freaking name. But it comes to me shortly. But he went off into space, and it kind of just changed his life utterly, completely. It highlights the pettiness of the local, regional, geopolitical disputes. It says, hang on a minute, we're just here alone in space, in this vast universe. We've got to look out for each other, This is pretty fragile stuff, right? Oh, crikey. Life goes on. Obviously been an incident here. I suspect that's probably one of the raptors. I've seen quite a few. I'm pretty determined to say one of them's a hawk, and I think one of them's a falcon, but we don't really know. It's too misty to see anything in any detail around here. But it's still beautiful, man. Look at this. Anyway, that's a slightly more substantial piece of chat, isn't it? Hope it makes sense. Speak soon. Bye.